Good morning, everyone. Yeah, can you hear me? Today there is slow internet in the classroom. So if suppose you guys are not able to hear, let me know. Okay. Can you close all the windows and back? Please close all the windows. That work. Okay, what we learned? What we learned? So why do we use views? Yes. Yeah, to give the access of data to other person by hiding necessary details. And we saw the what is orphan view, right? Yeah. What is orphan view? Orphan view means suppose we created one view on some other table, and in future if we deleted those values from that particular table, then our view will become orphan. Got it? So how to prevent from our view being orphan? We can schema bind it. We can schema bind the view, and how we can schema bind? Simply we can start with schema binding. Before giving the logic in as block, we will start with schema binding. Okay. Yeah. So let me create one employee backup table. How we can create employee backup table? Simply select star into followed by backup table name, from which table we are inserting all the values from? Employee table. Okay. So I will create the backup here, or let it be I will create backup itself while creating view only. Okay. So I want to create a new view called as get employee backup data. Okay. So let me select my database first. Okay. So I will write create view followed by my view name. So here my view name is VW underscore get employee backup data. And as I want to prevent my view from being orphan, so I will write here with schema bind. Okay, with schema bind adds, and here I am selecting employee ID, employee first name, and from which table? Employee underscore backup. There will be back table that will be DBO dot backup name. And how am I creating a backup? I'm simply selecting star and into employee backup from employee table, and let me execute it together. Let me create the backup first. Okay, already backup is available in my backup I already created. So let me just change the name of my view. I changed the name of my view, and now you can see we have created a view here. Okay, so whenever I have to view execute, like whenever I have to view the view, in the syntax select star from my view name, right? Yeah. Instead of calling star, you can call all also, because star stands for all. So select all from, you can say. Okay. So this is my view, and in this view, I am just viewing employee ID, employee first name and address from my backup table. Why I create a table? Because I wanted to explain you this with schema binding. So in with schema binding,
Excuse me, sir.
We are schema binding. employee ID column. Yes.
Sir, screen is not visible. I think screen share
Oh,
नहीं हुई है.
okay. I'm sharing now. I think I forgot. See my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you for reminding. So I have created a new view called as view underscore get employee backup data. Okay. And I want to prevent it from being orphan. So what will I do? I will schema bind it. Okay. And how to schema bind? Simply pass these two words username and address column from which table dbo.employee backup. And how I created this backup table? This is the syntax I have written to create a backup table. So select all into name of the table employee underscore backup, from which table I am creating this backup from employee table I am creating this backup. Okay. And then if I view my created view, then I can simply write select all from view underscore get employee backup data. If I execute it, then you can see this is the output I'm getting here. Now suppose if I try to delete this backup table, if I try to delete this employee backup table, will I be able to delete? Now let's see what am I doing here. I'm altering my employee backup table, and while altering, I'm trying to drop column employee ID. Will I able to drop? Yes or no? No. What it is showing in the output that alter table drop column employee ID failed because one or more object access this column. As we have written here with schema binding while creating a view, so that it will not, it will not give access, or it will not, or SQL will not be able to drop this backup table because we are schema binding them while creating this view. And like this way, we can prevent our column from being orphan. Now, can I drop the salary column here from a backup table? Alter drop column failed because column salary does not exist. Okay, in the backup table already, the column salary is not exist. Let me see. Yeah, salary column is already not present in my backup table, so that I'm not able to drop. Now, employee first name, let's see, employee last name, am I able to drop? Employee last name. Okay, I'm able to. But the column that I selected while creating this schema, and the columns that I schema binded here, these columns I won't be able to. Right? So reset. Already employee backup table may be present in your laptop. What it is showing in the output? Because we already created this backup in module 2 or module 3. No need to write this. If this employee backup table is already present in your system or database, don't create this. Okay, this is for the new ones, that those who haven't created this backup table. First check whether this employee backup table available or not. How will you check? Simply write select star from employee backup table. Shall we go ahead? Now, will I be able to drop this employee backup table? No, because this is being used there. Okay. Okay, let's see. Can we perform DML operations on view? What are the DML operations? Data manipulation language. That means which operations we can perform under DML? We can insert, update, and delete. Okay. So views are not only meant to read data. Views does not have physical data stored. So any DML operation executed on the parent table, we can also perform insert, update, delete on the table using the views. Your view should always have a select from a single table, and all the not null columns in the base table are to be selected in the view. Okay. So in the view, we can not only read the data, we can even can insert the values, update the values, or delete the values, but still it will not be stored on a physical data store. Still it will be a top of the table query. Okay. Yeah. So let's see how we can perform these DML operations. So first I'm viewing my backup table. So already this table I have created. So let me see. Yeah, this is my view created on the backup data. And this is my base table, you can see. Okay, the base table and this backup table, both are same. Both are same here. Okay. Because I dropped some column from my backup table, we already dropped employee last name. Got it? So that's why both tables are same. So let's perform insert operation on this view. Okay. So to insert the value, what we do, we will follow insert into followed by the table name, and in the table name brackets, we will give the column names. Now the view that we have created, get employee backup data, it is having 3 columns, right? Employee ID, employee first name and last name. Let me take my table backup. This is the name of my table, right? That I created here. Yeah. Employee ID, employee first name, address. Now, if I view my table, if I view my table, then I'm having values from employee and I'm giving here first name Tom and country I am changing to US. Okay. Executing one row affected. And now if you find this table I've created, they can see inserted. Let's check whether it has changed or not. It has made changes in my base table. Okay. So even though this view is table query, this view is not available on the data or our server. It is not.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sirisha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There's some network issue in the office. I connected from my phone. Now it's right. I can go ahead. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's perform update operation. Now the syntax will be same. How we update the normal table, the same syntax will follow. We will write the update followed by our view table name. So view get employee backup data, and I'm setting address is equal to India where employee ID is equal to 9. Okay. Now I updated the value, and if you view the backup table, then in the backup table also this address got changed from US to India. And if I view my backup table here, then you can see here also address got changed to US to India. Okay. So that means one takeaway from here is that whenever we are performing DML operations on our views, as views are not getting physically stored, but this update, insert and delete operations will take on the table on which we have created the view. Okay. Write this syntax. I will check for the internet connection. If you want to update some other values, you can update it. Yeah. Now let's suppose I want to delete. Delete from the view that I created, backup data, where employee ID is equal to 9, or let me delete for employee ID is equal to 10. Okay. And let me execute it. One row affected. If I selected all from my view, then you can see record for employee ID 10 got deleted, and also my backup table employee ID 10 record are deleted. Okay. So everyone understood how to perform DML operations on views? Any doubt in this? Shall we go ahead? Yes or no? Okay. Let's jump on the transaction. Write it, it's easy, right? right? Query by yourself. Now we are at the last module where you should, do these things on your own. We learned this update, delete, insert into in module 2, I guess, right? Alter table. It's module 6 is going on. Last module is going on. I think by Monday we will complete our syllabus. On Tuesday we will be having project, and on Wednesday we will be having mock interviews. Okay, so this is the last 5-6 days we are spending on this SQL. Okay, yeah. So let's jump on the transaction. So what is the meaning of transaction? Yeah, one table to another table or one source to another source. Okay, so for understanding the transaction, we will take a very simple example that how we transfer money, right? How we transfer money from one bank account to another bank account. Suppose person A wants to send $100 to the person B. So what will happen? He will open a application kind of Google Pay or Phone Pay, right? He will open it. He will enter the details for the receivers like mobile number or bank account details or UPI ID. Okay. After entering the details, he will put the amount $100 and he will select the account. He will enter the his password and he will click consent. So once he clicked on send, this $100 will be debited from sender's account and will be credited to the receiver's account. Okay. If $100 are deducting from the payer's account and $100 are credited to the receiver's account, then only we will call it as transfer or the transaction has been completed. If suppose $100 are deducted from the payer's account, but it's not credited to the receiver's account, then this is not called as transaction. It will show pending, and after some time, whether either that $100 will be credited to the receiver's account or it will come back to the whose account? Payer's account. Okay. So transaction is an operation or SQL operations performed on a sequence such that all operations are guaranteed to succeed or fail as a single unit. Okay, so transaction is nothing but set of SQL operations that are performed in a sequence such that all operations are guaranteed to succeed or fail as a single unit. Like $100 credited or deducted from the peer's account, but not getting credited to the receiver's account. So this situation we can avoid by using the transaction. Now transaction is not, it's not any keyword or system defined function or user defined function. It is just a logical concept. And in that logical concept, what we are going to do, we are going to perform sequence of operations and we will make sure that that sequence of operation either succeed together or either fail together as a single unit. Got it? So that that transaction can be completed. So transaction is all or none. If it is performing all the operations, then it will succeed. If it is not performing any of the operation out of all, then it will fail. So that's why transaction is a all or none concept. All or none concept. So when do we use transaction? When multiple number of rows are being inserted, updated, or deleted in a sequence. When the changes to one table require to other table data to be kept consistent, and when we are working on modifying data across two or more concurrent databases. Now, same example we will take. Suppose, for example, you guys are paying fees to me. Okay. And I told in the class, okay, you can pay me. And all of you started doing transaction on my account. So now each transaction will be treated as a single and separate unit. So it will not happen that he is sending me the money and also he is sending me the money. So their money will not go in each other's account. It will come to me only, right? because the transactions are treating as a single unit and every transaction is a separate from another transaction. Okay, so like this way in SQL, if when multiple number of rows are inserted, updated or deleted, then it will be done in a sequence. Okay, and when the changes to one table require the other table data to be kept consistent. That means suppose I got $100 from him, so my database will be consistent. That means in my database there will be an entry for $100 for him received from that receiver's name. Then if somebody else is sending, then another entry will be added there. So like this way, data will be kept consistent. And when we are working on modifying our data across two or more concurrent database, we will use the transaction when we are working on modifying data across two or more concurrent database. Even if you see here, whenever I'm updating or changing or inserting any value here, it is making changes in my two tables. One on this view table and another on this main table. Got it? So if I'm inserting any new value, it is getting stored in this view also, and it is getting stored in this employee backup table also. Got it? So the transaction is categorized by four properties, often referred as the acid property. You might have learned in programming language what are the acid properties, right? So A stands for atomicity, C stands for consistency, I stands for, D stands for. Now these are just the logical concepts, okay? We need to follow. That's it. We need to make sure. Like in the past, we have learned normalization, right? So normalization also set of rules only. If table is in this format, in one NF, what we'll do, we'll make sure that each cell will be having only one value. In 2NF, we'll make sure that partial dependencies are removed. Got it? Yeah. So same, these transaction are the logical concepts. We need to make sure while writing our code. Even while writing our code, we are doing this. Just we are not giving the name to that while doing. Okay. So transaction is categorized by four properties. The first property, or even often referred as a acid properties. A stands for atmosity. Atmosity means transaction should be regarded as a single unit irrespective of number of steps involved. Okay. So they should either succeed together or fail together. Okay. Consistency states that the transaction should always leave the data or table in a consistent state after commit or rollback of the changes. Commit or rollback of the changes. That means suppose if I am receiving $100 from someone's account, then in his database, bank database, it should be consistently written that $100 debited. And in my database, it should be shown that $100 credited. It should not get changed automatically. Okay. After some time, that entry should not be vanished. It should be still there, or it should not be automatically deleted unless and until my database administrator is not doing that. Okay. Isolation. Each transaction has its own boundary and do not interfere with other transactions. Now, suppose what am I doing here? I will insert 10 different values here. Okay, let me insert here. Already we did it for the 10. Sanju, India. Also, let me select here union all, and let me insert value here for select 11. I'm giving some name here. Let me give name Abhishek, comma, India. India and union all. And I'm setting one more value here. Select 12. giving name here, stocks. Let me change the country to the England. Okay. And if I'm executing this, it was affected. Now, if you see here, I'm inserting these three different values. Okay. So for these three different values, while storing the data, each select statement is having different boundary. Okay, they are mismatching any values. If you are starting with the select 10, so it's ending for select 11, Sanju India. It's entering only Abhishek India. Why it is possible? Because hidden property is there, isolation, and isolation makes sure that each transaction will have its own boundary and it will do not interfere with other transactions. Got it? Durability, any modification done on the data after the transaction is finished should be kept permanently in the database or system. That is called as durability. Okay. So there are two types of transaction. Auto commit transaction. Auto commit transaction, the statement is written as a part of this automatically treated as a transaction and is committed or rolled back once the statement is executed. Second is explicit transaction where we see the beginning. We should mention that we want to commit the transaction or we want to roll back the transaction. If you are not committing the transaction or if you are not roll back the transaction, then our server may get hang. Hang means it will take a lot of time to execute the query. So doing transaction is a very tricky work. When you are working as a database administrator or when you are working on a SQL, so whenever you are doing any transaction on your database, you need to be careful, because if you are writing the query to do the transaction and if you are not committing or rolling back it in specified time, then for that particular time our all servers will go down. Many times you might have seen that Facebook server was down for 3 hours, WhatsApp server was down for 1 hour, Instagram was down for 2 hours. Even when suppose you are trying to fetch some details on some of the website, it shows that it's down, it's not working, it will not give us the details. It happens when the transactions are taking place. Okay. And when the transactions are taking place, and if you are new to the company, and if you are not rolling back or committing those transactions, unless and until you do not explicitly mention whether to commit that transaction or roll back the transaction, till then your server will go down. Nobody will be able to fetch any other details smoothly and fastly. It will take a lot of time. While taking the example, I will show you. It will just show query is executing, but query will not get executed unless and until we will not commit or roll back our transaction. And it does for whole database. Now, on which database I'm working here? I'm working on this SQL underscore John batch database. Okay. So if I'm beginning any transaction here, so to begin transaction, we need to mention here begin transaction. Then only our SQL will understand that we are doing some transaction here. Okay. I wrote the query like begin transaction and I begin transaction to update some values from my employee table. And I just executed this. I just executed this and I am not explicitly mentioned whether to roll back the transaction. Roll back means you don't want to commit that transaction. So go back. Go back to the initial stage. That is the meaning of roll back the transaction. Commit the transaction means, yeah, we want to do that transaction. So, okay, we can go ahead. So if I'm executing this begin transaction and this update statement, then here it will get executed. But if somebody else try to access our database and somebody else try to fetch any details from my this database, he won't be able to fetch, because we are not committing the transaction, neither we are rolling it back. So for that particular time frame, our database will go down or it will become slow. Got it? If you want me to take example today itself, I can take it, or do we want to see it in the next tomorrow's class? Okay, let's see today. Okay, yeah. So isolation levels, there are two isolation level. One is a read committed. This helps us in reading only committed data from the table, and read uncommitted. This reads dirty data as well. Now, what is the dirty data? That I am performing this transaction, but I am not giving a nod whether to go ahead by writing commit transaction or whether to go back by writing rollback transaction. I'm just executing this. So after executing this, whatever the data I will get, that data is called as dirty data. That is called as dirty data. So read committed, this will help us in reading only committed data from the table because we are committing it. And when we are committing any transaction, that means it is making permanent changes in our data. That is making permanent changes in our data, and that is called as read committed. Read uncommitted means I am just executing this. I am not rolling back the operation, neither I am committing the operation. So read uncommitted means this will read only the dirty data. Okay. So default transaction isolation level in SQL Server is read uncommitted when the select is ran in the same query window, and default transaction isolation in SQL Server is read committed when the select is ran another query window. I will explain you this. Okay. So let's begin one transaction here. So right, how we will begin transaction? Starting with the begin transaction. So this is the starting point in the transaction, and then we can follow the SQL query. So what am I doing here? I'm updating E, and I'm giving E alias name to my employee table here. So update E, and I'm setting employee for employee last name is equal to Kumar new from employee as E, where employee ID is equal to 1. Okay. So when I'm executing this, it is showing me one row affected. And when I take a new query here, and if I try to fetch any details, select star from employee, and if I'm executing, it is giving me Dinesh Kumar new. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Okay, we will see it tomorrow. Okay, because it's not giving me dirty read, it should give me dirty read. Okay. Just observe here. Tomorrow I will explain these things. Okay. Now what I did here, you can see I'm beginning transaction and I'm updating my employee table and I'm trying to set employee first name is equal to David, where I'm trying to set this employee first name is equal to David. Now for employee first name, for employee ID 4. Now for employee ID 4, there is a name Steve is present. What am I doing? I'm updating employee first name to the David from this Steve, and from employee as EMP, I'm using this alias name, and where employee ID is equal to 4. Nikhil, please. Nikhil. So I'm setting this employee first name to the David. For employee ID is equal to 4. I begin the transaction. Okay. I begin the transaction, I executed it, one draw affected is showing to me. In this window, if I executed this in my own window, then you can see that Steve got changed to David. Okay. But the same, if I try to execute in some other query window, you can see query is still executing. That means my server went down. Why? Because I started with the begin transaction. I wrote this query, but I haven't, given here whether to commit the transaction or whether to roll back the transaction. So unless and until I will not define whether to roll back or commit the transaction after executing this transaction, for others it will give the dirty read. It will show query is executing. Okay, it will not execute the query. But if you see, let me split this screen. Okay, now if you see, as soon as I wrote here rollback transaction, it got executed. Okay, I begin the transaction here. Okay, one row affected. Now if I try to fetch any table from that particular database, it is showing me executing query because I begin transaction, but I haven't said whether to roll back. So that's why our complete data is ready for this transaction or roll back the transaction. Unless and until we will not do that, other people won't be able to access our database. It will show executing the query. And because of that, many times servers goes down. So I need to either commit the transaction or roll back the transaction. So I will roll it back. And as soon as I roll back the transaction, you can see it is giving me the ready. Got it? So we'll take few more examples tomorrow. Okay, few more examples tomorrow for this transaction, and after that we will learn how we can handle the exceptions, and after handling the exceptions we will learn CTEs, and we will take one simple example to find the top values and bottom values by using these ranking functions and whatever the functions that we have learned. So maybe on Monday or Tuesday we will start our project. Okay, so be ready for that. Keep on practicing, keep on studying for the mock interviews. Okay. Thank you so much for joining this class. Have a good day. We will meet tomorrow.